Ho ho ho, I'm Jolly Corey, and I have too many jolly tapes. Ho 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 ho. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Joyous Candle Nights. I'm so glad you could make it. And wait, is that for me? Oh, you shouldn't have. What is, I think I know what it is. You shouldn't have. It's Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. No, I like it, I promise. I'm not kidding, I do like it. I like Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians gets a bad rap. It's been endlessly riffed by literally every incarnation of the MST3K gang. It's been pretty high, or low I guess, on the IMDb bottom 100 for quite some time now, and it's a perennial favorite whipping boy for internet commentators. No, lampshading it doesn't make it any less transparent, Corey. I think a lot of that has to do with its copyright status. The film is murky, to say the least. It's sort of de facto in the public domain. It's also quite low budget, extremely ridiculous, and filled with that very specific kind of bad acting that these sorts of cheapo Z movies are notorious for. It's also charming. Maybe it's Stockholm Syndrome. Maybe it's the fact that everyone in this movie seems like they're trying to add something to it that makes it more fun. Maybe I'm just a sucker for science fiction. But for some reason I just can't get enough of it, and it's gone in my regular Christmas rotation over the years. It's a joyously simple, and also somehow simultaneously needlessly convoluted story about one Martian father's quest to bring happiness to the children of his world by any silly means necessary. It's essentially Jingle All the Way for 1964. Forget I said that. Shouldn't have said that. Anyway, as my Christmas gift to you, here are 10 things I genuinely love about Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, in no particular order. 1. The sing-along theme song. I mean, if we're gonna do a numbered list, let's start from the start. It's obnoxious, and kinda catchy. Do you have any idea how hard it is to write a good and catchy Christmas song, though? What's the last absolute Christmas banger that's entered the Christmas canon in the last 30 years? I'll save you the trouble of Googling. It's All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. That came out in 1994. It's older than Toy Story. It's been 26 years since a new song that isn't Christmas Shoes, which is an abomination that should be purged from the cultural landscape, has reached the zeitgeist. This is all to say that Christmas songs are tough to crack. They all use the same iconography. But there's something about the childish enthusiasm mixed with the groovy 60s trumpet that makes Hooray for Santa Claus work. Where they fall down is assuming we need to know the lyrics during the end credits, but let's be honest, they were stretching for time. Gotta make this thing hit 80 minutes by any means necessary. Still, crazy amounts of respect to any song that can work in the words Jumpin' Jiminy. I love this because I am 1 million years old. Number 2. A world where Santa Claus is real and we do live broadcasts from the North Pole like it's the pre-show to the Oscars. This, my friends, is a world of chaos. A world with no need for faith. A world with our hopes confirmed. I, for one, would love to live in a confirmed Santa Claus universe. The sheer media frenzy each year would be unbelievable. We'd have at least 3 TV channels and a slew of YouTubers and blogs devoted to him year-round. The likeness rights alone, just unimaginable. I'm picturing a lawsuit where a high-paid lawyer for a obscenely rich kid is arguing in court about how getting coal for Christmas caused irreparable emotional harm to his client. Just absolute chaos. All that being said, I just love any movie that starts with the news, newsreel footage, or any sort of similar narrative shortcut. Especially when this TV station is as quaint as Kid TV, which seems to be a child-themed news organization staffed by clean-cut grown-ups, and not, plucky kid journalists in tiny trench coats and fedoras out there looking for their first scoop. Missing a real Harriet the Spy opportunity here, movie. But I'll allow it, if only for our intrepid field correspondent Andy Henderson, who came prepared with jokes.
From this spot, there's only one direction you can go, and that's south. Living up here is pretty rough. I don't see how Santa stands it. Since we've been here, we've eaten nothing but frozen food. At least that's the way it is by the time we get it.
Due to this setup, we also get a delightful interaction with Mrs. Claus, the first use of Mrs. Claus in media, by the way, who is deeply, deeply camera shy.
Mr. Anderson, this is Mrs. Claus. We're on television.
How do you do, Mr. Anderson?
Ma'am?
Now, I want you to go and finish painting those hobby horses. Television? Did you say we're on television? Oh, Oh, dear. Oh, why didn't you tell me? Oh, my hair's a mess. Hello there.
It's adorable. I love it. I need more Mrs. Claus. 3. John Call's freewheeling performance as Santa. I don't know what planet John Call thinks he's on in this movie. Mars, I'm guessing. But it's a planet I'd love to live on. This Santa performance is unlike anything you've seen in any other competent Christmas film, but it's feisty, offhanded, unpredictable. Honestly, he has the vibe of a timeless immortal being that is destined to toil away in a toy factory for the rest of eternity, and you just don't get that in a lot of portrayals of Santa Claus. Sure, he's upset that he's been kidnapped and relocated to Mars, but hey, it's a break in the monotony. Also, for a movie made in 1964, it has some of the highest density of OK Boomer jokes I've ever seen.
You know, my dear, I can't recall a time when you were so silent for so long.
Let's go, old man.
Look at me. Santa Claus, the great toy maker, pressing buttons. That's automation for you. Technology.
How are you feeling today? Tired?
No, I'm not tired. But my finger is. It's been pressing buttons all day long.
He's terrible, but lovely. Enjoyable in the way Pabst Blue Ribbon is enjoyable. 4. Torg the Robot is perfect, and I will not be convinced otherwise. Nothing but respect for my president. The cardboard boy, the platonic ideal of a cinematic robot. Torg is amazing. He lumbers, he menaces, he poses almost no physical threat and is immediately dispatched by toy magic. Torg is abandoned almost as quickly as he is introduced, and that may be the film's greatest mistake. You heard me. Torg is a delight! All hail Torg! Give me the Torg movie! I need Torg lore! Where is the Torg lore? I imagine that after all this is over, he just hangs out with the elves and builds wooden trains or something. He settles down with a sweet assembly line robot, they have a nice life, build a couple of kids. You know, the dream. This is the fate I wish for Torg. Long live Torg. 5. The Polar Bear. Okay, so yeah, this movie is really shoddily made. Their budget was about $200,000, which is approximately $2 million in 2019 money. And this thing has a whole host of alien sets, a spaceship, Santa's workshop, a giant toy factory, and pretty elaborate props and set decoration. They had to fall down somewhere. But you know what? I choose to believe that someone decided to go full grizzly man. He got so fed up with his life in 1960s Canada that he ordered a polar bear mascot suit, moved to the North Pole, and decided to live as a polar bear amongst polar bears. It's a simpler life. Noble. Once he was Jeff Turkington, overworked vinyl siding salesman, but now, here in the icy expanse of the frigid Arctic Circle, he can finally be his true self. Jeff Turkington, polar bear. He's a 60s furry, and that's just fine by me. 6. The set design looks like Star Trek got into a horrific car accident with early Sesame Street. Santa Claus Conquers the Martian is shot with a fun 60s sci-fi TV sensibility, and the set design goes a long way to help with that. It has all of your Star Trek hallmarks. You've got your rock planet, you've got your cave, you've got your high-ceilinged but otherwise kind of claustrophobic future space world living quarters. And then there's the 60s spaceship set where nothing is really quite sleek enough for modern tastes, a lot of silly workstations and old dials and buttons salvaged from airplanes and machine controls. There are just so many little idiosyncratic touches in the design. The sliding circular doors, the stenciled lettering on the spaceship, the beveled paneling in the Martian toy factory. Not to continually excuse the small budget, but I'm still genuinely impressed by the ambition on display here. So many people write off Santa Claus Conquers the Martians as a cynical cash-in, but I see a lot of real care on display here, and it mixes really hilariously with some of the more slapdash elements of the film. 7. Vincent Beck is having the time of his life playing Voldar. The best actors read the room. Al Pacino recently said in an interview that he's starred in a lot of bad movies as sort of a challenge, in an effort to make them into mediocre movies. A great actor can class up the joint, or at the very least give a rollicking take on bland material. Enter Vincent Beck. Calling him a great actor would be charitable. His career was nothing to write home about, though he had quite the run on Broadway. He mostly became a guest actor on 60s and 70s TV. But there's something so game about his performance here. He knows the material isn't quality, so he makes the conscious decision to add conviction to the villain, and it pays off in droves. In a movie that's often lacking in forward momentum and drive, Voldar is single-minded and ever-present. He has a perspective that's completely opposed to our heroes, and he uses every opportunity to see that his views win the day. If his fake mustache wasn't so poorly glued on, you could almost see him twirling it. 8. The costume design is silly, and that's okay. For the budget, it's actually pretty good. They were designed by Ramsey Mostoller, who also worked on Dark Shadows, Sesame Street, and The Electric Company. The Martian outfits are clean, colorful, and delightfully silly. The lockstep consistency is effective and unintentionally hilarious. Are the helmets part of their anatomy? They talk about their antennae like they're body parts, but they're made out of cheap metal most of the time. But the design of the helmet is also distinctive and iconic. There's nothing that quite looks like this, for better or worse. Santa Claus's outfit is classic, and John Call does this weird thing occasionally where he pushes the sleeves up to be short-sleeve Santa, and honestly, it kinda works. And the kids look like they just walked out of a Norman Rockwell painting, so that's a plus. There's definitely a faint air of incompetence here, but I 100% blame the splotchy green makeup. Okay, maybe 90% the splotchy green makeup and 10% the hand-cut felt emblems on the Martian uniforms. 9. The Martians have almost criminally whimsical technology. It's a list within a list. Time for a quick rundown of all of the best Martian future tech. Number 1. Food pills. Can't have a future society without jelly beans masquerading as high-tech meal solutions. Number 2. Tickle Ray. When you need to rouse the laziest man on Mars, you do it the only way you know how. With a big, long stick that tickles your targets with energy, I guess? Number 3, guns that temporarily freeze your opponents. Have you ever seen Mystery Men? Did Tom Waits' character develop all of these? Lots of non-lethal solutions here. Also, everybody knows this already, but I love that the ray guns are whammo air blasters. Number 4, the nuclear curtain. We never see it. They talk about it constantly. It makes me want 50s style drapes with atomic diagrams all over them. Regardless, it's delightful. Number 5, sleep spray. When your small adult children will not go to bed, simply spritz them like a cat who won't get off the counter. Sleep spray, it's just chloroform! Number 10. Dropo is the laziest man on Mars, and he has my entire heart. I'm a fiend for a person becomes Santa Claus story, and Dropo may be the least deserving of those people, including Tim Allen and the Santa Claus. And I love him for this. It's a delightfully nonsensical role. He has absolutely no reason to be in this movie other than to serve as comic relief, and to eventually become Santa, which I love, but he's a ham-handed delight in every frame. Bill McCutcheon is just so twitchy in this role, every joint and limb moving independently of each other. There's just so many theatrically physical decisions in his performance. His elastic face stretches and contorts in ways that look painful, frankly. He's putting in so much work on a character that is so dumb. And at the end of the day, isn't that what most of us do? We get up and go to a job that we either don't like or don't understand really well, and we just do our best and try to make something that resembles sense out of what we have to do. Bill McCutcheon is a hero, and Dropo is best boy. He helps the key grip. This holiday season, I hope you give Santa Claus Conquers the Martians an unironic try. A, it's free on YouTube, and I'll give you a link in the description, and B, it has a lot of heart. What's your favorite part of Santa Claus Conquers the Martians? Let me know in the comments below. Happy holidays to all of you, thank you for watching Too Many Tapes, and have a very merry Torgmas. All hail Torg. Please like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell thingy. It actually really is important. It lets the all-powerful Martian algorithm know that I exist on this tiny, puny Earth planet. Also, if you have $1 or more a month to support me on Patreon, I would greatly appreciate it. It would be the best Christmas present you could get me this year. I'm actually really excited about this next part. Next month is going to be the first month that we have enough patrons to vote on what the next tape is. So if you're a patron, watch on my Patreon page and I'll get that up in the next week or two. If you donate $20 or more a month like Chase Smith, you are Torg, and you have Torg-like powers, so your name is huge. If you donate $10 or more a month, you are Dropo, and your name is slightly less huge, but still pretty huge. And if you donate $5 or more a month, you are Santa's helpers, and I appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in 2020 with more Too Many Tapes.